Modern life is a non-stop invitation to want more. More money, more stuff, more status, more hustle. Up it. What if more isn't the goal at all? But what if the real secret to financial peace isn't in having more but in knowing what is enough? That S, the central idea in segment 1 of Your Money or Your Life. The radical act of redefining enough. What does enough really mean? In a consumer culture, we rarely pause to ask that question. We're encouraged to believe that satisfaction is just one more purchase or one more promotion away. But the authors challenge this idea head on. Enough isn't about scarcity, okay? It's not about sacrifice either. It's about balance. It's about reaching the point where you have what you need to feel fulfilled. No more, no less. Where your needs are met, your values are honored, and your life energy is well spent. When you know what enough is for you, you stop chasing someone else's definition of success and start living life on your own terms. The endless chase of more. Let's be real. The cultural default is never enough. We're told to upgrade everything, our homes, cars, wardrobes, even our experiences. And when you live in a world where everyone is constantly leveling up, staying still can feel like falling behind. But the authors ask, is more always better? Or does it sometimes just mean more stress, more clutter, more time away from the things that actually matter? This segment invites you to step off that treadmill and take a breath. Duet. What do I truly need to be content? The fulfillment curve. One of the most powerful ideas introduced in this segment is the fulfillment curve. Picture a graph where your fulfillment increases with your spending up to a point. Spend money on basics, food, shelter, safety. Fulfillment rises. You treat yourself, occasionally still rising. But then something shifts. You start spending more, but fulfillment levels off, and eventually declines. You're no longer buying joy, you're buying distraction, debt, stress, or status. That tipping point. That's where enough lives. Why finding enough matters when you define your own version of enough. You stop comparing your life to others. You reclaim time and energy that was spent chasing more. You begin to focus on what truly adds value to your life. You no longer driven by fear of missing out, to grounded in a deeper sense of peace. You're less reactive, more intentional, and that changes everything from your budget to your calendar to your sense of self. How to start finding your enough so? How do you actually define enough? The process is personal and ongoing, but here are a few starting points from the book. List your true needs and values. What do you need to feel secure, connected, and fulfilled? What kind of life do you want to create? Track what brings joy and what feels excessive. Look at your recent purchases. Which ones truly enhanced your life? Which ones felt like a letdown or didn't even get used? Pay attention to the emotional drivers behind spending. Are you buying out of boredom, stress, insecurity, social pressure? When you recognize the why, you get more power over the how much. Experiment with dialing things back. A no-spend week or limit purchases to essentials for a month. See how it feels. You might be surprised how much peace lives in the pause. Enough is a moving target and that's okay. Your definition of enough will change over time. What was enough in your 20s might not be in your 40s. Life seasons evolve, but the key is to stay in touch with that definition, not blindly follow a pattern that no longer fits. This is not about austerity, it's about alignment. When your money, time, and energy align with your values, when your needs are truly met, and your desires are in check, you experience a kind of freedom that no luxury car or pay raise can give you. Final thought. Enough is the gateway to peace. Redefining enough might be the most important financial decision you'll ever make. Because once you know what enough looks like for you, you stop outsourcing your happiness. You stop running. You start living, And that shift, quiet, powerful, and deeply personal, is where true wealth begins. Have you ever bought something you really wanted, only to feel let down a few days later? Or upgraded something that already worked just fine only to wonder why it didn't make you as happy as you thought it would? That's the kind of everyday experience that your money or your life addresses in segment 2, where we reintroduce to one of the most powerful ideas in the book, the fulfillment curve. This simple but game-changing concept helps you understand the relationship between spending and happiness. More importantly, how to find your personal sweet spot before spending turns into stress. What is the fulfillment curve? The fulfillment curve is a visual representation of how fulfillment increases with spending, but only up to a point. Here's the basic idea. At first, spending increases your well-being. You buy food, a warm place to live, clothes, transportation. These essentials improve your quality of life. As you continue to spend, you enjoy some comforts and conveniences. A cozy couch, a fun dinner out, a reliable laptop. These things still bring satisfaction. But then, something shifts beyond a certain level. Spending more doesn't add more happiness. In fact, it can begin to reduce your overall fulfillment. More stuff means more maintenance. More upgrades mean more debt. More luxury can lead to more pressure to keep up. That's when spending crosses into the zone of diminishing returns and eventually becomes unfulfilling or even harmful. Why this curve matters? The fulfillment curve reveals a profound truth. There's a point where more becomes too much. In a culture that constantly pushes us to upgrade, accumulate, and hustle for more, this idea is revolutionary. When you understand where you are on the curve, you can stop chasing more and start aiming for enough. You begin making spending choices that are not just smart, but satisfying. It's the fulfillment curve in real life. Let's say you're buying shoes. Your first pair of shoes is life-changing. It keeps your feet protected and comfortable. Your second or third pair gives you options and style, still fulfilling. Your 10th pair is probably less impactful. Your 20th pair, still in boxes. Now you're on the flat part of the curve where buying adds clutter, not joy. The same logic applies to tech, gadgets, cars, homes, even experiences. At some point, you're no longer buying for need or joy. You're buying out of habit, stress, or comparison. Your life energy is on the line. Remember from earlier segments, every dollar you spend is a trade-off. You're not just spending money, you're spending life energy, the time and effort you exchanged to earn that money. So the fulfillment curve invites you to ask, is this purchase worth the life energy I'm trading for it? Will it actually increase my fulfillment, or is it just noise? When you reflect on that before purchase, you begin shifting from impulse to intention. How to find your fulfillment point. This isn't about becoming ultra frugal or never enjoying nice things. It's about awareness. The authors suggest a few ways to discover your personal sweet spot. Look back at recent purchases. Which ones brought real satisfaction? Which ones didn't? What were you hoping to feel when you bought them? Track what adds joy and what adds stress. Does a bigger home give you peace? Or a bigger to-do list? Does eating out feel like a treat? Or a weekly regret? Journal about enough. When did you feel most at ease with your finances and possessions? What did that season look like? Experiment. Try spending less in one area for a month. Did it actually decrease your quality of life for? Did it create more space and peace? A tool for freedom, not restriction? At first glance, the fulfillment curve might sound like a budgeting tactic, but it's more than that. It's a tool for liberation. It gives you permission to opt out of the constant pressure to consume. It helps you invest your money in what truly matters to you, and it frees you from the belief that your worth is tied to what you buy. Final thought. Choose fulfillment over friction. Segment 2 isn't about denying yourself joy, it's about defining it. When you understand the fulfillment curve, you can stop chasing empty purchases and start building a life that actually satisfies. A life where your spending supports your values. A life where enough is your compass, not more. And that's where financial independence really begins, not in the numbers, but in the clarity. If you've ever looked around and felt like you should be further ahead, richer, busier, more impressive, you're not alone. We live in a world that constantly broadcasts one loud, clear message. Your success is defined by what others can see. Big house, success. Fancy title, success. Luxury car, perfect vacation, designer wardrobe, obviously, success. But what if that definition is all wrong? In segment 3 of Your Money or Your Life, Vicki, Robin, and Joe Dominguez challenge us to look beneath the surface. They ask us to question not just how we use our money, but how we measure our worth. The key, understanding the difference between internal and external measures of success. External success, the visible metrics. External success is what the world rewards and recognizes. It's driven by appearance, comparison, and validation. These are the things you can post about, brag about, or use to impress others. Some common external markers include salary or income level, job title or professional status, home size and location, education, or prestige, social media following or influence. These things aren't inherently bad. They can represent hard work, opportunity, or personal values. The problem is when they become the sole measurement of success, when they, reflect what actually matters to you. When external success is your compass, you can end up chasing goals that don't bring joy, spending to keep up with people you don't even know, feeling like a failure even when your life is objectively good. Internal success. The fulfillment factor, internal success, is quieter. It's rooted in your values, purpose, and emotional well-being. It's less about how your life looks and more about how it feels. This might look like doing work you find meaningful even if it doesn't pay the most, having time to spend with family, pursue hobbies, or care for your health, living in alignment with your values and beliefs, feeling content and peaceful, not constantly striving. Internal success is measured by how much of your life reflects your truth, not someone else's expectations. Robin and Dominguez emphasize that this is where real wealth begins, not in the size of your bank account, but in the quality of your days. The danger of the default, one of the key messages in this segment, is that most of us are running on someone else's definition of success without realizing it. We inherit cultural scripts, family pressures, social media illusions, and internalize them as our own. We go to school, get the job, buy the stuff, aim for the next promotion. But if we never stop to ask why, we can end up successful on the outside and empty on the inside. This segment invites you to stop and examine, whose standards am I living by? Do they align with my values or just my fears? Aligning your money with your version of success. What makes this discussion so important in a financial book is that how you define success shapes how you use your money. If you're chasing external measures, your spending will reflect that. Designer labels, status symbols, lifestyle inflation, But if you shift to internal measures, your money can start to serve your life instead of your image, You might downsize to reduce stress. Say no to a higher paying job that compromises your values. Invest in experiences or causes that light you up. Save more because you're no longer spending to impress, and ironically, many people find that when they stop chasing external success, their quality of life improves without spending more, reclaiming the definition of success. So how do you make this shift? The authors suggest asking powerful questions like, what does a successful day feel like to me? What do I want to be remembered for? When have I felt most proud, not just seen? These questions help you uncover your internal compass, one that's more sustainable, satisfying, and soul-aligned. And once you have that compass, you can begin making financial decisions that support your version of success, not society's. Final thought: success isn't a trophy, it's a feeling. Segment 3 reminds us that real success is not a number, a title, or a look. It's a sense of peace, purpose, and personal truth. The more we shift from chasing external validation to embracing internal alignment, the more powerful, grounded, and financially free we become. Because in the end, success isn't what they say it is, what you say it is. We've all heard the phrase, "You are enough." But have you ever asked yourself, how much is enough for me financially, emotionally, and practically? It's one of the most powerful questions you can ask in your journey to financial independence. And that's exactly what segment 4 of Your Money or Your Life invites you to explore. This isn't just about how much money you need to get by. It's about defining a clear, deeply personal sense of satisfaction, line where your needs, wants, and values meet in harmony. When you discover your own definition of enough, you stop chasing someone else's idea of success and start living your own version of contentment. Why enough matters. The world is constantly whispering, more is better, more income, more upgrades, more followers, more hustle. But the authors challenge that belief by offering a radical alternative. What if peace and fulfillment come not from more, but from knowing your own enough? When you define enough for yourself, you stop overspending and overcommitting. You protect your time, energy, and emotional bandwidth. You gain clarity on your financial goals and a sense of ease in reaching them. Instead of reacting to the endless pressure to level up, you begin to live with purposeful boundaries that actually support your happiness. Enough is personal, not universal. One of the first key takeaways in this segment is that enough is different for everyone. For one person, enough might mean a minimalist lifestyle and a flexible job. For another, it could mean a spacious home and the ability to travel twice a year. Neither is right or wrong. The important thing is that you decide. Robin and Dominguez emphasize that this definition must be based on your values, not societal expectations. When your lifestyle reflects what truly matters to you, you stop wasting money, time, or energy on things that don't. The fulfillment factor in earlier segments. The book introduces the fulfillment curve, the idea that more spending leads to more satisfaction, but only up to a point. Beyond that, more money and more stuff actually reduce fulfillment. Segment 4 takes this a step further by asking, where do I peak on that curve? What's my personal fulfillment point? To find it, you have to pay attention. Which purchases bring lasting joy? Which ones just add clutter or regret? Which experiences truly nourish you? When you begin recognizing your patterns, you start to design a lifestyle that supports your well-being instead of draining it, creating your personal enough statement. One of the practical tools in this segment is creating a personal definition of enough statement. This isn't about hard numbers yet. It's about capturing a vision of what a fulfilled, balanced life looks like for you. Here's a simple framework to start with. Enough for me means having the time, money, and energy to what? While living in a way that honors, which values, and supports who or what matters most to you. For example, enough for me means having the flexibility to work 30 hours a week while spending quality time with my family. Traveling twice a year and saving enough for future freedom without sacrificing my health or values. This statement becomes a compass, something you return to when you're tempted to overspend, overcommit, or chase someone else's dreams. Checking in with your definition of enough isn't static. It should evolve as your life changes. But the key is intentional reflection. Ask yourself regularly, is my lifestyle aligned with my enough statement? Have I started chasing more out of habit or comparison? What can I simplify to move back toward balance? Creating a personal definition of enough isn't a one-time activity. A lifelong practice of realignment and recalibration. From scarcity to sufficiency. One of the most powerful aspects of this exercise is the mindset shift it creates. Instead of operating from a place of lack, I need more to feel secure, you begin to live in a state of sufficiency. You start noticing and appreciating what you already have. You spend less impulsively. You save more effortlessly. And most of all, you feel a sense of freedom, because you're no longer running on a treadmill that never stops. Final thought: define enough or be defined by more. Segment 4 reminds us that if we don't define enough for ourselves, the world will do it for us, and the world's definition will always be just out of reach. But when you create your own clear, grounded, and meaningful definition of enough, you build a life of contentment, control, and calm. You don't just save money, you save yourself from burnout, comparison, and endless striving. Because enough isn't the finish line, it's the foundation of a life well lived.